Hello, Louisville. Guess who's coming to dinner? Hello, Louisville. Happy Monday. We are halfway through Women's History Month. And on behalf of the staff here at Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, we have 4 honorable mentions this month. Last week, we had the CEO of the Kentucky Nurses Association, Miss Delano Manson. She was telling us about the nursing shortage in the country, but that Kentucky has some model programs for recruiting and dealing with inclusion, so that everybody has to take a course. They got it passed through legislation that everyone is going to take a course in bias. Okay, because see, some people don't know they have biases, and they become caregivers, not knowing exactly what kind of bias they may have towards a particular race or religion or even gender. So I'm sticking with that theme for the month. And our second most honorable mention this evening, this young lady, I've watched her at church. We're both members of Westchester Street Baptist Church, and she comes from a fabulous family. This young lady's got a village around her. Everybody's arms are wrapped around her, and they're holding on tight because she has done marvelous things. Girlfriend has been to college, got a master's, and 3 snaps up, got her doctorate. Now, you know that's going something. I think she did it in 30 minutes, So let me present to some and introduce to others my guest for this evening, Dr. Briana Brownlow. Hey, pretty girl.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. You've been on a whirlwind trip, haven't you?
Look.
Say what? Girl, please. I know life is what it is. That all of what you've been through in the last 2-3 weeks is all a part of life, and I won't go too far into that because I get real sentimental about losing your uncle and my buddy, Dwayne Haynes. But I want to talk about you and your accomplishments. Number 1, girlfriend, you left Westchester and they sent you off to school, didn't they?
Yeah.
They sent you off to school. Now tell me about, okay, you went to Spelman. Did you want to go to a HBCU?
Yeah. I think when I was younger, I knew I wanted to go to a historically Black college.
Okay.
Like an idea, it was like, that sounds good. And right. I knew at least one of my cousins went to Spelman. So I applied to like Spelman and Howard and that whole thing. But I don't think I knew what it really was. And I visited Spelman too.
Okay.
Yeah, and I liked the campus, but I don't think I knew what an HBCU really was until I got there. And that's when I fell in love. But I always knew that I wanted to at least try to, because I didn't have a lot of Black people in my schools growing up.
Okay. So when you got there, tell me about the experience, what it was like when you saw all them Black folks looking like you going to school.
Yeah. So there, I think when I got there, I had the preconception that a lot of people have about Spelman because it's Black women, right? And in high school, I was friends with a lot of Black women, but not like they weren't my core group. And so I was concerned. I was like, oh no, I'm about to go to a school full of Black women. Like, how's it going to be? And then I got there and I was actually concerned at first. I was like, I don't know if I made a mistake. I think I was like maybe 24 hours in and I was like, oh, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. Like, I love this place. I found myself.
After 24 hours, you said you're going to be there the rest of your life.
I was like, I love Spelman. It was amazing. But that first, few hours, I was scared. I was like, oh no, like I didn't want my family to leave. But by the next morning, I was like, yep, this is it. This is it. Yeah, like it was a bunch of Black women just like me. And not just like me. It was the most diverse and rich experience that I've ever had. And it was made just for me.
Say just for you.
Just for me.
For us, by us, about us. It was a full experience, huh?
The best. Yes.
So after going to Spelman, and then while you were there, you pledged. What did you major in when you went to undergrad?
Yeah, it changed a little bit, but I was a double major in psychology and philosophy. I was briefly minoring in music, but then I was like, this is a lot to manage.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got both my double major in psychology and philosophy.
Why I see you followed the psychology path all the way through. So
And
what is it about psychology? What is it that you want to do with this?
yeah, I took my first psychology class in high school, and
Okay.
I thought it was cool. I was always somebody who just is like intrigued by thinking and the mind, but I like the practical application of it. Like you can do something with this. It's not just like learning for the sake of learning. We're trying to figure out how to help people in the most deep way, and it touches everything. Like you're nothing without your mind.
Right.
So I think that's what made it powerful to me. But I think philosophy in some ways was my in. It was like the study of just like knowledge, but then actually using philosophy to change people's lives and to
Mhm.
help with healing. So I think that's what it felt very practical, and like you see how you're helping people. And I kind of needed that, like something where I'm doing something and I can see I'm doing it.
And the results are kind of
Yeah,
visible to
right
you.
there, right
You don't
there.
have to wait for a long time to get
Not
results.
usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but not usually. And so I felt
You
like I was
know, one
use my
thing that I noticed when I came back home and came back to church,
Mhm.
uh, I noticed how entrenched uh, Pastor Mackey, Pastor Daniels was in you all's lives, in the children, the lives of the children in church. He knew everybody's name. That was amazing to me because when we were growing up in Westchester, we didn't have that. I don't think we had that same experience. Now we came up. Your aunt Nadine and
Mhm.
I were in Sunday school together.
Oh.
Yes,
Mhm.
and I don't remember because once I wrote Pastor Offered a letter and he never wrote me back.
Oh.
And when I came home and I see how, you all get your scholarships from church every year, even the babies.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of influence did Pastor Daniels have on you?
Yeah, a big one. Yeah, in so many different ways. But I think what you spoke to, just like how he highlighted and just really celebrated education. I don't think I knew that's what he was doing when I was a kid, but like
Okay.
trying to submit your achievements for Youth Day. And like I was really motivated to like, okay, I'm gonna get all of the awards so that he's gonna read them out. It's gonna be so exciting. I'm not gonna forget one award, but like what he was really doing was like making me one committed to excellence and that kind of thing, but also like making me feel comfortable celebrating it. And I
Okay.
knew that every summer somebody was going to read out every award I got, and everybody was going to be excited, and they're going to stand up and clap, and I was going to be so proud. And that motivated me more than I think I even knew at the time. Just to have somebody who really made space for that, and really like I felt like everything I did, he was very much so like a fan, like in
Right.
a
He was like a part
yeah.
of your inspiration and your motivation. And I
Mhm.
thought that was such a wonderful thing for him to be like that.
Yeah, yeah. I could tell he was genuinely proud.
Yeah.
And it felt good to know, like, oh, like there's somebody who is both rooting for me and is celebrating me even when I'm not there, which was also
Right.
like really nice.
So when you went to go get your master's, where did you get your master's?
Ohio State, the Ohio State
The
University.
oh, girlfriend went to Spelman. Now she went to the Ohio State. Okay. So tell me about that experience.
I think Spelman prepared me. Like we knew when we were at Spelman that it was this utopia that unfortunately wouldn't last. And they spent a lot of time trying to tell us like what it looks like to go back into these predominantly white spaces and not only take care of yourself, but take up space. And like I was emboldened, I had a support system, I knew how to like maneuver. And so Spelman prepared me. It was still a bit of a culture shock, more so in the sense that I missed like being around Black people. Like I had to find them.
Right.
But I knew what to do and I knew how to like carry myself and I knew how to stay motivated. And so it actually helped me to thrive in a space that I think if I hadn't gone to Spelman, I can like unequivocally say that I would not have done as well as I did at Ohio State. Yeah.
Wow. That's something.
Mhm.
How, and it's something how you can articulate just the difference between one to the other
Oh yeah.
and how one prepared you to be able to uh, to walk in your own light in the other one. With the same, you got all your confidence, because at Kentucky State, we felt like, I don't know, I didn't know that I could. I was an average student in high school. And when I went to Kentucky State, I dropped out. I'm not going to take up your time telling you my story. But I dropped out, and then I went back to school. But when I went back to school, I had learned how to study.
Mm-hmm.
And learning how to study and still enjoy college life is really important. See, I played a whole lot of bid whist and ping pong. I mean, I like sports, right?
Mhm.
And I came from a family that played cards at home. So when I got back to school and I learned how to study, I made the dean's list. I shocked myself. And I was like, well, and I was carrying a full load because I had dropped out for a semester. I needed to catch up with my class so I could come out with my class. So I was taking 18 to 20 hours every semester.
Goodness.
Look, but I'm telling you, I made the dean's list well enough that it allowed me to pledge. Never, and I said I wasn't pledging. I said I'm not following nobody, being no group and no whole bunch of girls. I really felt like that.
Yeah.
And then after I had the GPA, I said, well, maybe I ought to go do this, because it just seemed like it was a part of the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And those sorority sisters will be your sisters all the rest of your life. That's something, huh? That's a whole new family, huh?
A whole new, like, everywhere you go.
Yeah. Was pledging difficult for you?
Not difficult. So I didn't know too much about Greek life. My sister's an AKA, so I knew that, but I didn't know like going to Spelman, that's like all Black women, and so everybody technically is eligible. It was a big thing, bigger than I understood, and so I had to learn pretty quickly. But I was so inspired by all of the Delta women on campus. Like, they were all my big sisters or my mentors. And so I knew quickly, I was like, oh, this fits. This is good.
It was a fit. Okay.
Yeah. And I actually pledged my sophomore year, which is the first year you can pledge at Spelman. So I got
sophomore year.
Yeah,
wow.
Yes.
I think I was a junior.
Yeah. I was on the yard for a little bit. But it was it was just like the pinnacle of Spelman for me, to be a part of something that beautiful and that rich legacy and tradition. Like, it was so many Black women. I really rarely saw a white person. All the people teaching me were Black. Most of them were Deltas, and most of them were women. And so it was that kind of.
That's different.
It is. Yeah, I really had male professors. Not really. They're all mainly just Black women.
Wow, that's wonderful. And Atlanta, did you enjoy the Atlanta experience?
Yes. I think that also just like elevates Spelman even more, as you're connected to such a big city with so much going on. We're also like right next to Clark Atlanta and Morehouse, Morris Brown, Morehouse School of Medicine. So it's just all of the Blackness.
Just in a community all its own, huh?
Yeah. And so there was so much that we could do because we were connected to Atlanta. And I think it would have been fine if I was in a smaller city too, but I think that like made it even like cooler, to be honest, to be like, oh, I can do this, and we know people at the biggest companies in Atlanta, and to kind of be in a different city, a different environment, but still be in the South. It was different than Louisville, for sure.
Ooh, would you say it still be in the South, huh?
Yeah, we in the South though. Yeah. So I was like, this is home, and this is very different.
Yeah. So what do you plan to do now that you've achieved your doctorate? What do you plan to do? What kind of changes do you want to see happening in this world that you think Dr. Briana Brownlow is going to bring to the forefront?
Well, high praise. So right now I'm at Duke University's Medical Center, and I'm mainly just doing clinical work. So similar to like medical doctors, we also do our residency. So that's what I'm doing right now, almost at the end. And so I see people on the inpatient unit and people outpatient. And so that's what I'm doing currently, but what I'm hoping to do is a little bit of everything. I really enjoy doing clinical work, like the practice of it, particularly working with people who are more like severe in their whatever they're experiencing, I find that to be like, which is why I love working at the hospital. It's high impact because I'm helping people who are kind of at the end of their rope. So I want to continue to do that. I love that work, but I also love teaching and like help.
Oh, okay.
I would love to go back to Spelman. Everybody like
And
that.
teach?
Yes, and teach.
Oh,
Yeah, that would be
wow.
a full circle moment for me. So to continue to like mold young minds and help people also like heal minds, I think is probably my biggest achievement. I think in the past I wanted to do like really high impact things and change policy, and I still want to do those things, but I found it so much more impactful to know that there are like hundreds of people who have sat in my office who are like living different lives now, and that feels like a bigger legacy than if I did something like with a lot of notoriety, but like I'd rather just
You've touched some lives and made a difference in some lives.
Yeah, like drastic differences. That to me feels so much more meaningful.
Yeah. Wow. That's got to feel good. It's kind of feel good in your heart and in your gut that you would say, I helped somebody get through.
Yeah. Some of the worst moments, the most horrific things, and knowing like I was kind of able to walk through that with people and see people like change across time. It inspires me. I'm like, oh, like I know people can get better because I've seen it.
Oh, wow. So when you finish with your residency, where are you? Have you decided where you want to live? Are you coming home? Are you have no idea, huh?
Well, so I have decided that I'm probably going to stay at Duke a little longer, and kind of continue some of the work that I've been doing here. I've gotten to do a lot of program development and building things. And Durham is like 40% Black. So I work with majority Black patients, which was important to me.
Okay.
So it's a good space to be in. And there's just like a lot of things that I can do and build. But I do know that I'm not going to stay here forever. I do want to be closer to home. And so I'm open to the possibility that things will line up in a divine way that'll allow me to get much closer to home. But that's where I'd like to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can always be close to home. Sometimes it's an airplane ride. As long as it's just one way. I mean, one nonstop.
Nonstop. That's key.
Nonstop. You got to have a nonstop trip.
Yes.
Makes a world of difference. Yeah. Because when I went away from home, Briana, I felt like, it was like when they say, let the bird, let them fly. It felt like, as they say, the world was my oyster, and I was just eating it up, and it was like, I moved to Paris. I didn't know a soul. I mean, sold my house, everything. My mama said, you staying in Paris? Yes, I'm going to stay. What are you going to do? I'm going to sing. And people were saying, you don't know anybody. I said, I'm going to meet somebody. I'm going to meet some folks, but I had no fear. And I think that's what I got a lot from going to Kentucky State was I had no fear. I said, I talked to a gentleman the other day and we were discussing, he was saying, I need to turn some people on to you that you who they're looking for. I said, well, I'm going to tell you, there's not too much I don't think I can't do. Let's get that straight. So, I mean, and I'm serious when I say that. Now you say, Janice, can you write a program? Can you counsel somebody? Can you figure how to get from A to Z? Yes. Give me a minute. But yes, so it's a wonderful thing. That's what an HBCU, and like you said, our professors were not only entrenched in our education, but how we carried ourselves on campus. They put a girl on the bus because girlfriend got drunk. They put her on a Greyhound bus and sent her home.
Oh, no.
You hear me?
Yeah.
So things like that, it made you aware of, this can't happen to me. I'm not letting that happen to me. Whatever you were doing, when you came out in the public, you carried yourself a certain way. And because they were like your aunties and uncles, and they're watching you, which gives us a better sense and feeling of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like they really care about me. I'm going to, and they really care about me. And when they would say certain things, when I dropped out of school and came back, I had said something out of out of the way to one of the teachers. I called him by his nickname. And he stood up in class. He says, yeah, sometimes some people, they get a little big for their britches. And I was sitting there saying, oh my God, he's talking about me. He says, and they don't know that they have to come this way again. He said, but it's going to be all right. I was petrified from that point on. So I made sure that I did nothing to cross his path whatsoever, but they put you in check. And it was a loving check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
Absolutely.
It was a loving check, and everything about that experience. All our kids need to go to an HBCU.
Yeah. So you can be seen, right? Like, it's exactly that. Like, one thing I was thinking about recently here at Duke, we were talking about how like people could like not be present, and no one's not gonna like people aren't gonna really ask where you are. But at Spelman, I miss a class. I'm 10 minutes late. My professor is like, Briana, where are you? Right? Like, it's right. Like, you're you know that people care about you. And even though there was like that firm hand, it was also like, but I care enough to do that for you. I care enough to see you, to notice when you're not there. Yeah, you don't get that other places. People don't go out of their way to cultivate you and to nurture you when you still kind of need it, right? Like when you still need that.
Because Briana, I know I can ask you because you're young enough. So how old are you?
28.
Already? Girl, I just knew you was 25. I told you did everything in 15, 20 minutes.
I
know. It just seems like time you didn't waste any time. I'll put it like that. You did not waste a second getting it done. You put in the work and you just went for it. And I commend you. I'm very proud, just to know you and just to be able to have conversation with you, because, when you watch a flower blossom, it's a beautiful thing, and you were always, the metamorphosis of opening up and blossoming, and you can tell, and she's got this. Were you valedictorian in your class? Wow, look at that. I'm saying, girlfriend is not playing. Everybody else get out of the way. See, I didn't even know that you had that in your mind, saying, well, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get that and I'm going to be this and do that. But you have to see that for yourself. And the sad thing is, I think here in Louisville, Briana, is a lot of our kids don't have any hope. Yeah. That's why we're going through this period of crime and homicides, and they don't have a value for life. When I moved back, I was told that most of the teenagers felt like they weren't going to live past 18. I said, what? Had you ever experienced that before you graduated from high school?
I mean, not to that degree. I do think Spelman, not just Spelman, but like leaving Louisville did open up a world to me that I wouldn't have known that I was like not aware of.
Right.
And just different kinds of people with different experience, like people who have no idea where Louisville or Kentucky is. Right. So it's humbling to realize how big the world is. And like Spelman was really big on like us studying abroad. I think that was a part of it too. It's just expanding. And like you said, the fearlessness. I was the opposite. If people who probably knew me as a kid would think I would never leave Louisville because I was up under my family. And I think that's what leaving taught me. It was like, oh, you can do this. You can go places where you don't know people. You can do things that like you've never seen. And I think that was a big part. And I didn't know that in Louisville, like, although I did dream big, I could dream even bigger when I got to new places. Cause I was like, I didn't even know some of this existed. I had like maybe one Black teacher.
Yeah.
That
where'd you go? Male?
Yeah, male.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I just had one. All right. And then at Spelman, I had like
all of them.
I think some of that also just shows you like, oh, wait, I didn't even know Black women did that. I didn't even know this was a career. And so some of that was exposure. And there is a big part of it of like being afforded the privilege of going to a place like Spelman, of going to Ghana, of going to Columbus even, right? Just being able to do some of that.
You've been to Ghana already?
That's what I did my study abroad for Spelman.
Wow. What was that like?
Beautiful. Yeah, it was the most invigorating, I think, experience for me. One, it was scary because I had never like gone that far. And I had heard all these things about like, you're going to the motherland, all these like just high hopes.
Yeah.
And I got there and I was like, it still was hard for me to wrap my mind around, like, Briana, you're in Ghana. Who would have thought you'd be like, you know, just like, because I think I was a sophomore. So I would never, like, little Briana would never have imagined being there and the experiences and going to the door of no return. And like, all of that was, again, HBCUs for you. Right? Like, they made sure that we saw the world.
Now, see, now that's someplace that I've never been that I need to go. I need to go to Africa. I really need to go. I'm looking forward to the day when I get to do that. You know, so is there anything that you would like to impart to our audience that have children that may need a bit of motivation or encouragement about education and higher education and how rewarding it can make you feel once you take the leap of faith?
Yeah. That's a profound question or thing, because I think a part of it is just being able to set yourself free, because you're giving yourself all the options and the knowledge and the foundation that you need to choose whatever feels best for you, even if it isn't like getting a PhD. I think it was just my ability to like bet on myself and to do things where it was like, okay, this might not work out well, but like I know that I can now, right? And even if I change my mind tomorrow and decide to do something else, I feel emboldened and empowered enough to know that like I have I'm making that choice on my own, like it's not being made for me. And education to some degree did that, right? Because I was able to learn as much as I could, and then because I'm informed, now I get to go into the world like making these conscious choices and like being able to notice when like other people are making choices for me. That was a Spelman thing. The first thing they taught us was like, you're a free thinking woman. Like you get to question people. You don't get to agree with people. You get to think critically. And that's really what education is about, is teaching us to question the world around us and to question ourselves so we can expand. So I think even if it's not for some big degree or for some like big career, it's just betting on yourself.
Girl, you come from a racetrack betting city.
Bet on yourself.
What you say, Briana? Just bet on yourself, honey. You know, I used to tell people a lot of times, I said, my philosophy in life is, number one, I don't play games I can't win at. You know, there was a commercial on TV that kind of brought that. I gave the example to people. Two guys were going to go out and hang out, and one says, well, man, you want to go shoot pool? He says, no. He says, well, why don't we go bowling? He says, no. He said, you want to go shoot some darts? And he pulls out his own set of darts, and he says, yeah, darts. Yeah, why go play something that you're not good at, you know, or do something? So it is betting on yourself. You know, and that's the biggest motivation. But you have such a foundation, your faith, your commitment to church. You were always there playing your part, and you were such a role model for the other girls. You had to be. You know, maybe whether you knew you were or not, you were. Let me tell you that. Let me make that absolutely clear. You were. And then to see everybody watching you, it was like I said, it was watching this beautiful flower open up. And here you are. Girlfriend is 28 years old already. Girl, I thought you were 15. It seemed like you were just in high school. And then they said, Dr. Briana Brownlow. I'm like, what? But I just want to let you know that I'm very proud of you. And I know you know your church family, and your family is very proud of you. And enjoy your life. God's got you. And as long as you keep him first, you know everything else is going to be all right.
First things
Thank you for being my guest, my honorable mention during Women's History Month. Who's coming to dinner?
Yes, thank you for having me. This was a pleasure.
Have you been on any other shows? Has anybody ever interviewed you before, since you made all these milestones?
I've done a lot of stuff like locally, like with schools, and I think the biggest thing I did was a TED Talk.
You did a TED Talk?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's probably the biggest thing I've done. I did that at Ohio State.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'd love to do a TED Talk.
I know, right? You would
I
do a
got
great TED Talk.
Well, you know what? Think about that. Maybe you can tell me how
Yeah.
guide me into being able to do that.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
just don't know where I would start,
I
Or
definitely got you. I felt the
you
same
got
way
me on that one?
in my lap. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. My love to you. Take care of yourself.
Yes. You too.
And all the best. And be happy. I mean, I see the smile on your face. It's just like you have joy in your life. You're a grown woman out there on your own. That's that Patti LaBelle song, On My Own. Girl, go ahead on, do your thing. It's dinner time. Go have dinner, Briana. Thank you
Yes,
for being my
ma'am.
guest, sweetie.
Of course. My pleasure.
Take care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right, sweetie.
Okay.
Dr. Briana Brownlow. Isn't she fabulous? Doesn't that just make your heart feel good when you see, we got a bunch of knuckleheads out there doing things they have no business doing, but then to see somebody who's on the right path, and a lot of times our kids and our youth that are doing wonderful things, they don't get enough praise. And it was just an honor that she agreed to be on the show today, and that I could personally recognize her, because she needed to be recognized, because girlfriend is doing the thing. So it's dinner time, and we'll be back on Friday. I may play this again on Friday. So we do Monday and may play it again. It's called an encore on Friday. Next week, hopefully, I'm looking to have Principal Rice from Shawnee Academy at Shawnee to come and talk to us. And I'm also I've invited the president of Kentucky State University, President Clara Stamps. I've invited her to finish out Women's History Month. So, bon appetit. Have dinner. I'll see you on Friday. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello, Louisville. Guess